we have IP and Mithrilium on our opponent's turn. Now what this does is we link Mithrilium and Masquerena into Nightmare Unicorn, and now Nightmare Unicorn will discard for cost, target our opponent's card to shuffle it back. And now since Vanisher is now in the graveyard and Mithrilium doesn't target, we're going to chain link to Mithrilium, resolve backwards. It can summon the Vanisher that is now in the graveyard because it doesn't target. And Unicorn will shuffle, and then on a new chain link, because Vanisher was summoned by the effect of a Metalfoes card, we get to banish a card in our opponent's field or in the graveyard. What's up guys, it's your boy Kazaris, and today I am here with my first ever TCG deck profile, and I'm doing it with arguably my favorite deck of all time, if not definitely my favorite Pendulum deck, Metalfoes. Now this deck is deceptively simple, it floats very well, and with some new support we can definitely make some solid boards and just grind out games because we just have a ton of floating effects and a ton of card advantage, card resources to abuse. So let's get right into it. So we have 3 of every Metalfoe except the new Vanisher. So we have 3 Gold Driver, 3 Silvered, 3 of the new Melcaster. These are our scale 1s. All of them have the same Pendulum scale effect. We can target a face-up card we control, destroy it, set a Metalfoe spell or trap from our deck. All of them do the same thing, except the effect monsters, Melcaster and Bismugear, have additional effects. When they're destroyed, their monster effect is when they're destroyed on the field, including in the scale, Melcaster gets to add a face-up Metalfoe from our extra deck to our hand, but we cannot scale that monster or the monster with the same names for the rest of the turn, but we can still use it as like a normal summon or as fusion material, which is really good, or as discard fodder. So Melcaster is really great for maintaining advantage. We just have to use it smartly. Like if we were intending to scale whatever we add back, we can't add anything back. But it's also a level 7 to use with Volflame to go into Odd-Eye's Absolute Dragon. Speaking of Volflame, 3 Volflame, of course, 3 Steelin, and 3 Bismugear. Bismugear is, all of them are needed at 3 now. You want to open as many as possible, ideally 2 or 3, as well as some other tech cards that I'll get into in a second, just to make sure that your hands are diverse, and that you're setting all of your bricks from the deck and maintaining resources that way. So Bismugear is like the opposite of Melcaster. Melcaster is a scale 1, level 7, adds from extra. This is a scale 8, level 1, adds from deck, but only in the end phase. But these are how you're going to be maintaining advantage majority of the time because these are effect monsters. Everything else is a normal monster, so they don't have like additional effects, but their scale effects are just very good and definitely worth playing. So Bismugear searching Vanisher in the end phase is what we're going to be doing majority of the time, because Vanisher will become our disruption on our opponent's turn. This is the new Vanisher. Its scale effect is the only different one. It's okay. It's a scale 1, which sometimes comes up if you're desperate, if you don't have any of the other actually good scale 1s that you want to use. You can scale this, but majority of the time you want to have this in your hand or grave or extra, because when it is summoned by the effect of a Metalfoe card, we get to target a monster on our opponent's field or in the graveyard and banish it. If we summon this off of counter, off of Mithrilium, off of its own effect, we can do that. So its monster effect is we can pop 2 face-up cards we control, including a Metalfoe card, to summon it from our hand. So if we pop like a Bismugear or a Melcaster, we get additional advantage that way. We get to summon it, we get to use the effect to banish. But the majority of the time we're going to be summoning it off of Mithrilium or counter. Its scale effect is okay if a monster we control is destroyed by card effect, except in the damage step. We can add 1 Metalfoe card from our graveyard to our hand, except Metalfoe Vanisher. So we're only playing 1 of it. It's technically a brick, but it does have its uses. It's still a Pendulum, it's still a Metalfoe. So we can use it for fusion material or scale if we're desperate, but majority of the time we just want to search it. And then the honorary Metalfoes, we have 3 Summoner's Art and 1 Painful Decision. This is just a hard once per turn, and whereas Summoner's Art is not. So we don't want to brick on the Painful Decisions. We don't want to open multiple of them. So it's good to open still an extra Metalfoe. Send a level 4 lower normal from deck to grave. Add a level 4. Add the same name to your hand. And 3 Summoner's Art. This will search Volflame, but it also searches Clifford Scout. We are still on that. I will get into that in a second. And then 4 Metalfoes bricks. I believe 4 is the correct number. We're not playing the Volflame or the full Metalfoe fusion because IP is basically our quick effect on our opponent's turn. We're not going for the Alcahest anymore because Alcahest just doesn't do enough. And I just feel like if I play the full Metalfoe fusion in the deck, I'm playing 5, and that's just too many. That's just too many bricks. I don't want to cut counter. Counter's just fantastic advantage. Can't cut combination or fusion because, well, fusion you can't cut at all because it's how you recycle. You get a draw, you put it back in the deck to keep resolving Metalfoe cards on the following turns if you don't have Mithrilium to shuffle them back. And the new Metalfoes fusion is just too good to pass up because it maintains your card economy very well. It allows you to fuse with up to 1 from the extra deck, field, or hand. So we get to use the useless Bismugears that would sit in our extra deck for fusion material, which is really good because Bismugear is level 1, so we can't Pendulum summon it because we can only Pendulum summon between 1 and 8, not including 1 and 8, so 2 to 7. So Bismugear would normally sit there, but because we have Metalfoes fusion, we can just pop Bismugear, trigger its effect, and then just once its effect has been triggered, it doesn't have to remain in the extra deck to resolve. We can just fuse with it, get it to the graveyard, get it to our hand, etc. So Metalfoes fusion, very good for that. And then combination, really cool in this meta, especially against Invoked and Shaddolls. Unless they have Magical Meltdown, we cannot, when they fuse with Magical Meltdown on the field, we can't activate cards and effects when they summon a fusion monster. But otherwise, we can use combination. So when either player fusion summons, we can activate combination to target a Metalfoe in our graveyard with a lower level than the monster that was summoned and special summon it. So that is definitely some added advantage that can come up in some specific games, but majority of the time, if it's sent from field to grave, we get to add a Metalfoe. So we get to trigger that. We get to flip it face up on our turn, pop it with a Metalfoe, set it from deck, and then search, or we just get to send this with Magician's Souls, which we are playing because the advantage is just incredible. Souls will draw 2, combo will search 1. Very nice. I'm not playing 2 combo because it's just an additional brick. So I am playing 1 Scout, 1 Monolith. Monolith is a brick, but Infinity is just too great of a card to pass up on. This is still a Pendulum. We can still fuse with it, and worst case, it's still a 2400 body that can push for some damage. But ideally, we open Scout, pay 8, feel great, and then just pop the Scout with a Metalfoe card. And now we can Pendulum the Scout from the extra of the Monolith from our hand, make Nova, make Infinity. Very cool. We're playing 4 Scout because we have 3 Summoner's Art as well. And then we have 3 Magician's Souls and 3 Magical Abductor. Abductor, when it's summoned, while it's on the field, its monster effect is it can remove 3 spell counters from it to add a level 1 Magician or level 1 spellcaster from our deck to our hand, which is Magician's Souls. Very nice. So ideally, we open Abductor, resolve Summoner's Art and 2 Metalfoe, or Summoner's Art and the Scout is 2. And then if we have a Metalfoe to pop the Scout, that's 3. Now we have access to Infinity. We have access to Souls off of it. Abductor. Very, very good. And now this allows us to make IP Masquerena before our Pendulum summon, so we get 2 extra zones to summon from the extra deck, which is very nice as well. So 3 Abductor, and then Souls can send any level 6 or higher spellcaster monster from our deck to our grave. I have those targets, I will get into them in a second, to special summon itself from the hand, and then while it's on the field, you can send 2 spell trap cards from your hand and or field to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. Absolutely incredible. We will be sending 1 combination, 1 fusion to draw 2. Combination will search, and then fusion will draw us another card. So 4 cards off of the Magician's Souls effect. It's just incredible advantage, makes IP. And if we keep it on the field and it doesn't die on the following turn, we can just do the same thing again. Draw 2, send combos, send fusion. Absolutely nuts. So Souls is mandatory in the deck. Unfortunately, it's not very budget. But hopefully when the reprint comes in a few months, it will be budget for sure. So the targets for the Souls are 2 Mythical Beast Master Cerberus and 1 Mythical Beast Jackal King. This ratio, I believe, is correct because if we open Cerberus, this is still Cerberus Abductor is great because this is still 2 counters on Abductor, and we get a monster on the field through Jackal King without having to commit our normal summon, and we get access to Jackal King. So we pop the Cerberus, put it in the scale, we search the Jackal King, we pop the Jackal King, put it in the extra deck, and then summon the Cerberus from the extra deck. Now we have access to Jackal King to Pendulum summon with. If we just open Souls by itself, we can still special summon it or normal summon it by sending the extra master from the deck to the grave. That's why we play 2, because if we draw 1 and resolve it, we still want to have a target in the deck to use Souls with. So now we have 2 monsters on the field that we can make IP with, and we're still able to resolve Souls. So I believe this is correct. Jackal King just being an extra monster negate is great as well. And going second, Master Cerberus can also banish monsters your opponent controls by removing 4 or more counters, I believe. So that is really cool. So Cerberus is great to get extra advantage, but also good going second just to push through your opponent's boards. So 2 Cerberus, 1 Jackal King. I believe that is the correct ratio. And then finally, rounding out the deck, we have Bow Baboon. Now, this card is OG Metalfoes. This is used in zoo format. People were playing the Zodiac Metalfoes. You would Bow Baboon, draw a card, put one back, pop this with a Metalfoe, set a Metalfoe card from deck, summon 2 Bow Baboons with its effect. They would both activate, draw 1 card, put it back, draw 1 card, put it back. and then you would make MX Saber Invoker and summon a Zodiac from the deck. It was absolutely nuts. But now we are just using Balbaboon to still fix our hands, but to make IP Masquerena, because we summoned 2 from the deck, make an IP, fix our hand, and now we have 2 extra zones, and we can go off from there. So Balbaboon, very, very good. We have a few bricks in the deck, so being able to put back like the Metalfoes spell and traps into the deck and have like actual good cards is just fantastic. Balbaboon is needed for sure. Link Spider, moving on to the extra deck now. One Link Spider. This is good for turning your normal monsters into effect monsters to make access code with. Or you can, like, worst case, summon like a Metalfoe, make a Link Spider, summon another Metalfoe to its zone, and now you have like a Link 2. The worst case scenario, but majority of the time you're just turning the Metalfoes into an effect monster. Definitely needed. Your Link 2s, you have the 1 IP Masquerena, the 1 Nightmare Phoenix. Phoenix is just good for dealing with pesky Floodgates and pesky back row. Definitely needed. And then the IP is how we are going to be making Unicorn on our opponent's turn with Mithrilium to interrupt and get a Mithrilium float. So I will get into that combo in a second in the combo section of the video. So IP, absolutely mandatory. This is like our quote-unquote Electromite. This is the Link 2 we're going to be making before we try and Link Summon. Very, very good. We have the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, the 1 Selene, and the 1 Access Code. Now, Selene is like a little bit more niche, but we can make it with Abductor and like any other 2 monsters or 1 Link 2 to summon this. It's a Link 3, and now we can just summon back like a Souls that we used from the graveyard and make an access code that way if we're kind of running out of resources. If the Unicorn doesn't stick, we're able to make Selene and then bring back the Souls, maybe use Souls Effect, and then go into access code. So Selene is very good. Access code is how we're going to be killing our opponent. This hits 5,300 if it targets a Unicorn, and then with Vanisher on the field, 53 and 29 is 8,200. So that is lethal there, or like 53 and an Orichalc, Metalfoes Orichalc Fusion, that's 28, so that's 8,100. That access code is how we're going to be killing our opponents. So we definitely need to play access code. Brawl Sword's a little bit tougher to make because it needs 3 effect monsters, which is a little bit harder with all of our normal monsters. But access code only needs 2+ effect monsters, so a Link 3 and a Link 1 or just a 1 effect monster is very nice. So those are all of our links. Moving on to our Xyz, we have 1 Cyber Dragon Nova, 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity, and 1 Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. I've been debating playing Zeus because I have 14 slots in the extra deck. However, it's only going to be made if we're like, if we have an Infinity on the field, we like get a negate, stock up our opponent's monsters, enter battle, then make a Zeus. But like, if we're using Zeus and sending our Pendulum zones, it's not very good because Zodiac is like the worst matchup for this deck because of Zeus. Because it doesn't destroy, it just sends our field, it just ruins all of our advantage. So it's hard to keep pace with the Zeus if they can push through our standard like Unicorn, Mithrilium, Vanisher, Shuffle, Pop, or Shuffle, Banish play. So Zeus is just a pain, and I think it would hinder me more than it would help me if I added Zeus to the extra. So we are just going to be playing a Crimsonite, which I was normally siding, but now having to main it is nice because it just opens up the side slot. And then the 1 Absolute, Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. We make this with 2 level 7s, 2 Volflames, 2 Melcaster, or a Volflame and a Melcaster. Summon this. If it's sent from field to grave after being Xyz summoned, we get to summon Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon from our extra deck. Incredible card. While it's on the field, we can shuffle a Pendulum monster from our extra deck into the deck to negate any card our opponent activates. Very good. When it's summoned as well, we get to target a face-up attack position monster opponent controls and return it to the hand. So there's extra utility there if we're going second and we're able to make Absolute and then link it away. We can just make Vortex. However, this is a when you can effect, so we can't summon it on Chain Link 2. So if we like link into Nightmare Phoenix and activate Phoenix Chain Link 1, Absolute Chain Link 2, this will be summoned Chain Link 2. Nightmare Phoenix will resolve, and then this will miss the timing. So this has to be summoned on Chain Link 1. So if we do that link away play, then we won't be able to get this effect. However, we can pop the Absolute with a Metalfoe card, and it won't miss the timing then because Metalfoes say, and if you do pop a card, you can then set. So we'll set, and then we'll activate the Absolute to summon the Vortex, and it won't miss the timing. So really cool there. Definitely needed. Then the rest of the fusions, we have 3 Mithrilium, 1 Metalfoes Orichalc, and 1 Metalfoes Crimsonite. This is our Super Pally target, so we side deck Super Pally, very good. It requires 1 Metalfoes monster and 2 monsters with 3,000 or less attack. So we can activate Super Pally, use our Metalfoe monster on the field, and 2 of our opponent's monsters with 3,000 or less attack. Like against like a Invoke player, we can like fuse away a Mechaba and an Ecclesia to just summon our Crimsonite, very cool. or against like Dragon Link, we can fuse away like their Boral Savage and their Seal if they're not equipped with the Dragon Buster. Some people are playing Dragon Buster, some aren't. So if they're not equipped with the Dragon Buster, we can just fuse away their field. Very, very good. Actually, you know what? No, we can't fuse with the Boral Savage because it'll be higher than 3,000. But we can fuse with everything else, anything else. So if it's like just Seal, Boral Savage, then it's not very good. I don't know if I would side in Super Pally. I'd probably side in like Dark Ruler or something, but you get the picture. It's just very cool. We get to use 2 of our opponent's cards to make our own fusion with. And the Mithrilium, absolutely 3 of it, still mandatory. This card is just how we are going to be grinding. It returns our Metalfoes spell and traps to the deck to keep setting. It bounces your opponent's cards, but could bounce our own cards, like our own scales, to set again from deck. If it's sent to grave, we get to summon a Metalfoes Pendulum. Metalfoes Pendulum? Yeah. One Metalfoes Pendulum from our extra deck or grave to the field. Does not target, so that's really cool. And then Metalfoes Orichalc does double piercing. If it's sent from field to grave, we get to destroy a card our opponent controls, or just any card on the field, but probably one our opponent controls. So that is the extra deck. Very cool. Side deck, I'm still deciding on, but like cards to consider. Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, really good against Dragon Link going second. It behaves like Balbaboon. You draw a bunch of cards and put some back. So like you can side out the Balbaboons going second for Phantasmes against Dragon Link, or against a Bird Up deck. You can like, they make like Link Rebo, some Morg that's still a draw 3, put back 2, so Phantasme is good against that as well. Dark Ruler No More, Cosmic Cyclone, and Harpy's Feather Duster for those pesky floodgates, stuff like that, super poly. So we're going to move on to the combos section of the video now, so stick around for that. All right, so here we are in the combos section. Now, there are, like with a deck like this, Pendulums, you just want to use your whole hand, and just like every combo varies slightly depending on what you draw. So I'm not going to, there's no like set 2-card combo that I have to show you. It just depends on like what text I draw, how many Metalfoes I draw, and then what board I can end on from there. So I'm just going to shuffle up. I'm going to pile shuffle here because I had them all organized. So let me do that real quick. All right, so starting off here, I just randomly shuffled. I'm going to draw 5 cards and see what we draw here. So we open Silvered, Gold Driver, Abductor, Combination, and Cerberus. This hand is fantastic, even if we did open a brick. So we have Abductor, Cerberus, which will be the souls. So we go Abductor, going to scale Cerberus, we're going to pop the Cerberus. We're going to put this in the extra deck over here off screen. We're going to add the Jackal to our hand. So we have 1 counter on the souls already. Where's the Jackal? There it is. So add the Jackal. Now we're going to scale the Jackal. That's 2 counters on Abductor. Pop the Jackal to summon the Cerberus from the extra deck. So you have it up here. That's 2 counters on Abductor. Now we're going to scale our Gold Driver. Let me move this over a tiny bit. Yeah, so we're going to scale our Gold Driver. So that's 3 counters on Abductor. We're going to activate the Abductor now. Add a Souls from a deck to our hand. There it is. Now we're going to probably activate the Gold Driver. We can pop the Cerberus because we don't really need it either way because we have the Souls to make IP with. So we're probably just going to pop this with the Gold Driver, put this in our extra deck, set a fusion from deck. So now we have the fusion with the combination. Since we opened the combination, we don't have to resolve 2 Metalfoes cards to set 2 targets from deck because we opened one of them. So now make sure to set the combination because fusion can still get its effect if it's sent from hand, but combination has to specifically be sent from field to resolve. So now we have Soul's Effect. This is still in our hand, the Silvered. Soul's Effect, send this last spellcaster from our deck to the grave, the Mythical Beast Cerberus. That's why we play 2. Now we're going to shuffle up, draw 2 off of the souls, and then resolve the rest of our hand from there. So let's see. So we're going to send these 2 from deck to grave, draw 2 cards. All right, so we draw the Balbaboon. It's kind of dead now, but that's fine. So now we activate the combination effect, search our Bismugear, and Bismugear will give us a search of Vanisher in the end phase. So Bismugear, very good, getting us extra advantage. I'm going to, before I resolve the Metalfoes fusion to draw, I'm going to resolve the rest of my Metalfoes cards to get more bricks out of the deck so that I do not draw them. So here I'm going to scale the Bismugear, pop the Gold Driver, set another brick from deck, which will be the pair Metalfoes fusion. All right, so we have this now. We're going to activate our Metalfoes fusion in the graveyard to fuse back, to shuffle back and draw. We're going to do this here before we Pendulum Summon. We got 1 more brick out of the deck because if we draw a Melcaster or a Volflame, we could make our Absolute Dragon, and we did draw it, so that's really nice. If we didn't, it's not a big deal. We still have a solid board. But now, because of that fusion draw, we can end with something even better. Really cool. So we're going to Pendulum Summon now. We're going to summon the Volflame and the Melcaster from the hand, as well as the Gold Driver and the Jackal King from the deck. So Jackal King does not have any counters right now, but we will be able to resolve our Metalfoes fusion in a second. But we are going to go activate Silvered, pop the Bismugear, because we want to fuse with the Bismugear from the extra deck, because it has the least amount of value in the extra deck to us. So there's the counter, set that. We're going to activate the Metalfoes fusion, fuse this Gold Driver here, and the Bismugear from the extra deck. So this will go to the graveyard. And we're going to summon a Metalfoes from the deck, or from the extra deck, sorry. Now we have the 2 counters on the Jackal King here. This will go to the grave. So we have Bismugear to search in the end phase. We have Jackal King with 2 negates. We have Metalfoes with IP, and we have a potential Absolute Dragon play here. So we're going to overlay these 2, make an Absolute Dragon, and then we're going to activate Metalfoes, bouncing the combination and the fusion in our graveyard to our extra deck to bounce the Silvered back to our hand. Now what this does is it allows us to reactivate the Silvered, pop the Absolute Dragon with its effect, and set the combination from our deck again. So combination, counter are our cards here, and now, because Absolute Dragon was sent to the grave after being Xyz summoned, we get to summon Vortex from our extra deck. So now our board is insane. We're going to end our turn here. We're going to search Metalfoes Volflame, or Metalfoes Vanisher, sorry. And now this will give us a sick interruption on our opponent's turn. So we have 2 negates. We have an Omni negate by shuffling back any one of our Pendulum cards from our extra deck. We have a monster negate in Jackal King. We have IP and Metalfoes on our opponent's turn. Now what this does is we link Metalfoes and Masquerena into Nightmare Unicorn, and now Nightmare Unicorn will discard for cost, target our opponent's card to shuffle it back. And now since Vanisher is now in the graveyard and Metalfoes doesn't target, we're going to chain link to Metalfoes, resolve backwards. It can summon the Vanisher that is now in the graveyard because it doesn't target, and Unicorn will shuffle, and then on a new chain link, because Vanisher was summoned by the effect of a Metalfoes card, we get to banish a card in our opponent's field or in the graveyard. So we have 2 negates, we have a shuffle, we have a banish, we have a ton of floating. If they somehow push through this, we have like Balbaboon on the following turn. We can pop this, get two more Balbaboons, which is a ton more monsters. Like, even though we drew it and we can't really use it this turn, it's still 2 more potential monsters on the following turn. We have counter to summon from deck, add back from extra deck. We have combination to search. We can reset any one of our fusions here, Metalfoes fusion or the Parametalfoes fusion, wherever that went. There it is. So like either one of the fusions, plenty of fusion plays on the following turn. We can link these 2 into Access Code Talker, and now Access Code Talker will hit 53 by targeting the Unicorn. We can banish the Unicorn to pop. Very, very good overall. This is a winning board right here if we went first. So let's do one more shuffle up and see what we can end with, because this is nuts. Not every hand is going to be as nuts as this, but like bare minimum, every hand should be like IP Metalfoes at the very least, or like a ton of floating with like 1 negate. So let's shuffle up to one more. All right, so we are all shuffled up. We're going to draw 5 cards from our deck and see what we can do here. So we open Balbaboon, we open Monolith, we open a couple of bricks here, but we opened the Balbaboon. So now what Balbaboon can do for us is we can null summon the Balbaboon. We can draw 1 card from our deck, which will be the Souls. What a good draw. Now we will put back probably the Monolith, because this is doing the least for us right now. We're going to scale the Silvered here, activate its effect to pop the Balbaboon. Balbaboon will go to the graveyard. We're going to set the combination from our deck because we have the Souls, and now we're going to activate the Balbaboon. Summon 2 more Balbaboons from our deck. Where are they at? There it is. So we have 2 Balbaboons. We're going to shuffle up, use both of their effects to draw some more. Maybe put back this fusion that we don't need. Get another useful card. So draw 1 more. There's another Monolith. Put that back. That's least useful. And then draw 1 more. Gold Gyro, awesome. So we get to put this back. We do not have full scales at the moment, but we have Souls to send this combination, which will search us the scale 8 that we need. Whoops. So we're going to scale. Let's scale the Melcaster here. Melcaster is going to pop the Silvered, put that in the extra deck. Going to set the fusion that we just put back. Now we're going to link these 2. It doesn't really, we don't have to link these now. but I'm just going to get it off the field and make some room. So IP up here. Then we're going to activate the souls that we drew off of the Balbaboon. Sending, we're going to send the Cerberus still, because having a chance to draw Jackal King off of the souls is still solid, because Jackal King is just a good negate as well. So that's cool. So keep the Jackal King in the deck is still a solid draw. Now we're going to send the combination and the fusion to the graveyard to draw 2 cards off of the souls. We draw Abductor, which is okay, and Summoner's Art, which is solid. That is another fusion, or that's another level 7. So we will be able to make the Vortex here because we have the Melcaster and the Volflame. So now that we sent this combination from field to grave, we're going to search us a scale 8 in the Bismugear. So grab the Bismugear there. Now we're going to search a Volflame from the deck. Just get that out of the way with our Summoner's Art. So now we have 2 level 7s and plenty of space to Pendulum Summon. So we're going to activate our Gold Driver here. We're going to pop this Melcaster. We're going to set from our deck a pair of Metalfoes Fusion or a counter. It doesn't matter because we just need to set one more. We're going to activate the Fusion in the grave to draw, and then we're going to Pendulum Summon. So now that we popped the Melcaster by card effect, we can add back this silver to our hand, but we cannot scale it. It's just more advantage that we can maintain. We're not really worried about using the silver for the rest of the turn because we weren't going to Pendulum Summon this anyway from the extra deck most likely. So just having it in the hand as extra fodder is good for later. So Fusion, put that back. We resolved all of our Metalfoes effects for now. Fortunately, we can technically still draw the counter, but we just want to get more advantage. So we just, classic, Fusion, draw, Fusion, nice. So I'm going to scale the Bismugear here. Now we're going to Pendulum Summon. So Pendulum Summon, the Volflame, the Melcaster, and let's Pendulum Summon the Abductor, why not? So just extra monsters on the board. So now we got all these out. We can go overlay these 2 into Absolute right here. Now what's cool is like we could make a Phoenix first, and what this will do is when we make the Unicorn, we can summon it next to the Phoenix to actually get a shuffle, a banish, and a draw 1 off of the Unicorn. So we could link away this Absolute right here with the Abductor. This will put the Abductor in the extra deck to let us fuse from extra deck with Metalfoes Fusion. So I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to link away the Absolute, so that'll go to grave. The Abductor will go to extra deck. For this Phoenix here, this arrow is pointing to the right, not using the effect, but just using it to have that draw. Now we're going to activate the Absolute Dragon because we linked it away to summon this Vortex here in the final zone over to the left here. Now we're going to activate the Gold Driver to pop the Bismugear. Right? No, we had Bismugear. No, what do we have? We had Bismugear pop. We had Bismugear pop. No, we had Gold Driver pop the Melcaster. So this Bismugear is the fresh one. So in this case, we just need to fuse. We're going to fuse from hand here and from extra deck, and we're going to summon. No, geez, not Unicorn. What am I doing? I'm going to summon the Mithrilium here. So now Mithrilium can put back the fusion and the combination to the deck. I believe, yeah, so I can do that to bounce this Gold Driver. I'm going to activate the Bismugear to pop the souls just to get the counter out of the deck as well. And then I can just reuse the Gold Driver that I bounced to pop the Bismugear. So set the counter, activate the Gold Driver here, pop the Bismugear. Yep, right there. And now we're going to search with Bismugear in the end phase, reset the combination. And this is our final board, I believe. So yeah, so really nice, kind of going, like making it as we go. That's the thing with pendulums. Like you can't like, it's just every board depends on what you draw exactly. So we're gonna end our turn, search the Vanisher here. So now our hand is a negate off of Vortex, a shuffle, and a banish. Really cool. So we can go on our opponent's turn, we link the IP and the Mithrilium again into the Unicorn, Chainlink 1, discard Vanisher, Mithrilium, Chainlink 2, doesn't target to summon back from grave or extra, resolve backwards, summon the Vanisher back, shuffle our opponent's card with Unicorn. Unicorn gets us another draw. There is our complete scales off of the Unicorn draw, very nice. And now we have a negate off of Vortex because we have the Bismugear in the extra deck still. And we have Fusion, which is fine. We have Combination to search, Counter to summon. Overall, just a very good board. We can make access code with these two on the following turn. Overall, pretty nuts. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. The deck is very fun. Souls is absolutely nuts. Resolving Souls gets you like crazy boards like this. We have 9 cards in our hand at the end of that board. I think we had 10 at the end of the other board. So Balbaboon putting back our bricks. Souls getting us a ton of draws. And overall, just a very fun deck. I enjoy it a lot, and I hope you guys do too after this video. It is kind of expensive. If people are interested, I can maybe try showing off a budget version of Metalfoes, because the majority of the cards are commons or supers, so like they're extremely easy to get. And if you're not playing the souls or the access code, it is pretty budget. So I could try to build a budget deck if you guys are interested in that. But this is how I'm going to be playing it, because I love the deck. I want to play it competitively, so I want to build it as good as possible. So I have a locals later this weekend, so I will be uploading a video on that. I'm deciding to not upload the Drytron one because it's pre-ban list. It took me a while to figure out a flow to the editing process, and at this point I feel like it's just too outdated. I just feel like nobody would be interested in a pre-ban list. Pre-ban list duels, it'll just be a little bit boring and kind of not relevant. So I'm definitely going to start the TCG vlogs with my Metalfoes deck. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will catch you in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.